All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is April 13th. We only have 7 games on today's MLB slate, but we're going to jump into each game. I'll give you my leans on the game. We'll talk about the game, but all my final plays, if that's what you're looking for, those will be in the pinned comment, guys. I update that throughout the day, always in by game time, and coming off of a really good night last night, actually 2 nights in a row now, 3-1. We had the Mets money line and Yankees money line. Both of them came back from behind. The Cubs was our only loss of the day, and then we had the Marlins here, money line plus 170. We can cash it, guys. That's 2 nights in a row again that we go 3-1 and had a couple big money line plus money plays. So really feeling it right now. The Marlins last night was just a half unit, but it was a plus 170 hit nonetheless. But go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. You guys have been absolutely crushing it on the videos as of late, and I cannot thank you guys enough. I'm reading all the comments and all that. It really means a lot to see all the love as of late. So let's stay hot, guys. I know you guys are saying, hey, I just like to watch for entertainment and to hear what you're saying. I'm not following your picks blindly, blah, 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 which is the perfect way to do it. You know, if you want to watch the videos every day and stuff like that, just hear me out, hear what I'm saying, hear my rationale. I don't expect anyone to absolutely follow my picks blindly, right? That's why we have a brand called Fade Me. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the first game here. We got Baltimore taking on the Athletics here. I know the graphic is blank, but Baltimore right now minus 226 on the money line. The total is sitting at 10 runs right now. On the mound for the Orioles here, Cole Irvin, who's 0-2 on the season with a 9.35 ERA, and then Adam Oller on the mound for the Athletics. He's 0-0. His ERA is 4.6. Obviously, we've seen this Orioles team, I don't want to necessarily say dominate, but 12-8 in game 1 of this series, and then the O's come over, and then all of a sudden 8-4. I do think that we've seen, like I was saying, for the majority of how do I say this, play-by-play pitches thrown, you know, this Orioles team is obviously the better team here, but Oakland showed a little something yesterday. I was quite surprised by that. I do think that this is going to be a game in which Baltimore bounces back, but that money line is really tough at minus 226. That does not tickle my fancy whatsoever. So I think really the value here might be Oakland plus 1.5 for plus money as well. So you can get Oakland run line for plus money right now. That might be the value. And again, I don't think I think Baltimore, like I said, for the majority of this series so far has looked more dominant than the A's, even though the A's squeak went out yesterday. So I do expect Baltimore wins this game. But if Oakland can keep it to 1 run, then we can cash it. So keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if that becomes a final play. If I'm being completely honest and transparent with you guys, like I like to do, I don't necessarily think that this becomes a final play. In terms of a total, 10 runs is a decent amount, but I think they can get up and over this one. We've seen it twice so far from both these two teams. All right, moving on, we got the Rays taking on the Red Sox here. Rays minus 215 on the money line, total sitting at 8 runs. Yesterday's game, the score looks a lot closer than it was. Tampa Bay wins 9-7 yesterday. I really wouldn't say that that game was close. Tampa Bay was kind of in the driver's seat all along. I believe they're up 8-3 or 8-4 at one point, and then all of a sudden Sox get a little bit. Devers goes deep and makes like an 8-7 game, and then all of a sudden the Rays get one more little insurance run late in the game there. Springs on the mound for the Rays. He's 2-0 in the season, and Corey Kluber's on the mound for the Red Sox here. This one, I'm going to be completely frank with you guys, I don't really love either side right now. So money line, Rays are minus 215, right? The total is at 8, but even if you go down to run line for either team, so Boston plus 1.5 on the run line, minus 106. I don't really love those odds. I feel like we should be getting plus money. And then Tampa Bay minus 1.5 at minus 114. Don't love that either. So guys, I am going to just say I'm going to lean Tampa Bay money line here, but I don't know if this is going to be a final play either. It is a small slate, so I hate to start off with my 2 leans here for both games being like, I don't really love this spot. But there's a couple spots here that we do love on today's slate, just not so far. In terms of a total 8 runs, I see this one getting up into the double digits. I don't really have much reason to believe it wouldn't, so I am going to lean towards the over. All right, Cincinnati taking on the Phillies here. Cincinnati here minus 112 at home, total sitting at 8.5 right now. Cincinnati coming off of that series against the Braves here. They got swept by the Braves, but every game was fairly close. I think it was 5-4, 7-6, then 5-4, 5-3. Philly coming off the series against Miami, in which they kept games. I wouldn't even say they kept the game close. They won the first game by 1 billion, right? And then they lose by 4 to Miami, and then lose by, I think it was 1 or 2 yesterday to Miami when we cashed Miami money line there. I think that this is a very interesting spot here because I do think that these are two teams that are going to struggle all year long, but I think I'm just going to lean towards the Reds in this one because they are at home, and I will kind of take that -112 odds there. I don't really trust anything the Phillies are producing as of late. Very inconsistent in their last series. And then, like I said, the Reds at least were keeping games close with the Braves, who I do think are one of the better teams in the league. So I'm going to lean towards the Reds in this one at home. And then in terms of a total, sitting at 8.5 right now, I can see this getting to 9 runs, but ever so slightly. One pick I know I'm leaning Reds money line here as my official lean, but I also don't hate Phillies money line. Like I said, the Reds are kind of keeping games close, whether they're winning or losing. You can get Philadelphia +1.5 at decent odds somewhere. I would pull the trigger. All right, New York taking on the Twins here. Yankees -150 at home. Total is sitting at 8 runs. This is one of our wins yesterday. New York taking that win. They weren't winning for most of the game, but then they came back. They take 2 of 3 against Cleveland. Minnesota takes 2 of 3 against Chicago. I do think that this -150 is a little too much juice to be laying here, but I am going to lean towards Brito and the Yankees in this one compared to Ryan and the Twins. So I'm leaning Yankees -150. I know you can get it at -140-ish on other books as well, so I'm going to take a peek at that. In terms of a total, however, I think this one actually sticks under the mark. I think we've seen both these teams start to grind out multiple games. Even yesterday, right? The Yankees score 4 runs, they let up 3. Barring that, eliminating one of those games against Cleveland, they've had pretty low scoring games for the last 5 games or so. And then Minnesota, dating back 5-6 games have had low scoring games. So I'm gonna lean towards the under in this one. All right, Blue Jays hosting the Tigers here. The Jays -235 at home. Total is sitting at 9.5 runs. That is a very high total for this game, but I could see why. Not much defense or pitching to start the year for either side, but I do think that this is going to be a spot where we still look at the under. This was a Nerfy hit yesterday for us, which is awesome. We've hit 6 Nerfies in a row. 6 Nerfies in a row. If you guys aren't checking out the Nerfies, we post them here as shorts. We also post them on TikTok with all our player props and whatnot there as well. We might look at this game again, but in terms of a full game lean here, I think that the money is +200 on the Tiger side of things. That could be something that seems a little bit too good to pass up. I think that these two teams have shown that they can keep it close in this series. I mean, I know did Toronto win the game by a decent amount the first game, but last game 4-3 was the final score. I don't really like paying that much juice or money line from Toronto, and then -1.5 for Toronto is on the run line is -117. Don't like that either. So I'm actually gonna look at the Detroit side of things and potentially see if a half unit long shot money line play works. And then in terms of a total, like I said, I'm looking at the under. All right, Cardinals taking on the Pirates in this one. Cardinals -250 on the money line at home. Total is at 8.5 right now. Even the run line for the Cardinals here is kind of tough. -1.5 for -125. Don't really love seeing that. Pittsburgh coming off of that loss to, I don't think they scored a single run yesterday to the Astros. St. Louis coming off 2 straight wins to Colorado. This Pittsburgh team was playing good baseball. The Astros kind of got to them. We got Velasquez on the mound for the Pirates today, who's 0-2 on the year with a 9.82 ERA. And then Jordan Montgomery on the Cardinals, 2-0 to start the year, 2.25 ERA. This is one where I don't think we're getting the most bang for our buck. But St. Louis, like I said, -1.5 on the run line is -125. That's going to be the lean. I can't really afford to pay -250 on the money line for them. But I do think that they ultimately win this game. I just don't know if I can pull the -1.5 on them. Keep an eye on the pinned comment for that. In terms of a total 8.5 right now, I do think this one hits the over. And then we get the Padres taking on the Brewers as the last game of the series. Padres right now -141 on the money line. Total is at 8.5. 8.5. The Padres are 8-4 on the season here. The Brewers are 8-4 on the season here. Padres 7-6. We don't know who's, at least the sites I've looked at 3 sites this morning to try and figure it out. Brewers, the pitching is still to be announced, which is very interesting to me. They're coming off of a loss against Arizona. I think they lost 2 of the 3 against Arizona in that series. Same thing with San Diego. This is one that I still have kind of TBD in the air for. I'd love to know who's definitely pitching here, but in terms of offenses, I don't hate Milwaukee plus 130 on the money line on the road, and I like the over in this game as well. I think these are 2 teams that we're going to see a decent amount of runs scored. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. A little bit shorter than normal. We only had 7 games to dive into. Hope you guys do enjoy. If you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.